Namaskar and welcome to StudyIQ. I am your friend Rahul Saigaonkar. The agenda of today's discussion is connected to science and technology, where we are going to discuss about sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease and a new treatment method based on gene editing for the same disease. You can see the news here. Recently, US FDA, the Food and Drug Administration advisors, see no roadblock for gene edited treatment for sickle cell disease. We are going to understand this news comprehensively. First, we'll understand what is sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease. What are its causes? Second, we'll talk about the gene editing technique that is used by the researchers to develop the treatment. Third, we'll talk about the treatment itself. And then finally, we'll discuss about what possibilities this research opens up for new therapies for other diseases as well. That is going to be the complete agenda of today's video lecture. To get to know all this information, stay with me till the very end. All right, let's begin. But before that, to all the UPSC civil services aspirants, StudyIQ's P2I Prelims to Interview Batch 3 is beginning at different dates on different formats. English, Hindi plus English and Hindi are available. You can go for any format that suits you. This is the evening batch. The classes will be held at 6 p.m. Classes will be live. This is the most comprehensive program for UPSC civil services preparation. You will have prelims test series included in this only. You will have mains residential program, one-to-one mentorship, group mentorship, handwritten notes, everything. The whole shebang is available at StudyIQ. Just visit our website, enroll now. I'll see you in the classes. All right. Let's begin our discussion about sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease. Now, this is quite prevalent in India. Remember, sickle cell disease is seen most commonly in people in the Indian origin, Arabian and African origin people. Now, as name itself suggests, sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease, this has something to do with blood. All right. Now, in the sickle cell disease, the normal red blood cells that we have, red blood cells are generally round in color, their structure or their shape changes. And because of this shape change, different complications come up. You do understand the red blood cells or the red blood corpuscles, they contain hemoglobin, which is very, very important. Hemoglobin combines with oxygen reversibly. It also combines with carbon dioxide reversibly, helping in gas transfer. That means it helps in the body's metabolism itself. Now, when a person is suffering from sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disorder, what happens? In a normal person, the RBCs are round in shape and they have normal hemoglobin. But in a person suffering from sickle cell anemia, the red blood cells as well as the hemoglobin itself, they change this shape. The red blood cells, they become crescent shape. The hemoglobin also changes shape. Now, because of which the body's metabolism is disrupted. What happens because of this? See, first of all, the person might suffer from pain-related issues and heart disorders. They also suffer from lack of iron, anemia. They are also very much susceptible to pain and other infections. So sickle cell disease is many a times fatal as well. Why? Because when the blood is moving through the blood vessels, because of the sickle cell shape of the RBCs, it might clog in the blood vessels as well. This leads to severe complications. Many a times it may be fatal as well. Now, question comes up. So why does this happen? Remember, sickle cell disease, it is a disease which is connected to genetics. It is inherited. That means there is no mistake of an individual. It is not a lifestyle disorder or anything. It is because of the inheritance itself. That means a person who is suffering from sickle cell disease, their parents or grandparents, they were the carriers of the trait of sickle cell disease. Now, this is a chart which explains you that the sickle cell disease can come both from the father side or the mother side. Remember, it is not just one gender which carries it, either from father side or from a mother side. Remember, if both the father and mother, if they are suffering from sickle cell anemia, then the offsprings shall compulsorily have sickle cell disease. Now, why I am mentioning this specifically, sickle cell anemia, it is an inheritance-based disorder or a disease. It can come from father side or mother side. You have to remember this because many a times aspirants, they get confused between sickle cell anemia, thalassemia versus the mitochondrial disorders, mitochondrial DNA disorders. They only come from maternal side because every individual, be it male or female, they all have only mother's or maternal mitochondria, and that is why the mitochondrial DNA disorder that comes only from the mother side. But when it comes to sickle cell diseases or thalassemia, it can come either from father or mother. Please remember this very importantly. And as I told you, this is very problematic in Indian scenario, especially in the tribal areas. According to the 2020 data, tribal areas, especially in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra area, many tribals, they suffer from sickle cell disease. So it's very important for us. In fact, sickle cell also found a mention in this year's budget. India is running a program for identification of sickle cell disease, which has its own, again, social issues. We'll not go into that particular issue because government is issuing the cards, those who are suffering from sickle cell, and many females had complained that because of the cards, the matches are not coming. So the government has set up a date, right? They have set up a deadline by 2047. There would be elimination or some sort of a solution for sickle cell disorders in India, and this news holds great importance for a country like India. All right. Now, what has been done? The researchers at a pharmaceutical company, they have used the technique of CRISPR. I'm quite sure those who are preparing for UPSC civil service examination, they know about CRISPR technology, clustered regularly interspaced palindromic repeats. It is a novel gene editing technique or genome editing technique which has been developed from a bacteria, that is Streptococcus pyogenes. The bacteria had a self-defense mechanism to cut the DNA or the genetic information of the virus to safeguard itself. And what we did was we took the same defense mechanism from the bacteria and developed CRISPR-Cas9 complex. So Cas9 is a protein or an enzyme. Instead of Cas9, CRISPR CPF1 can also be used. So what happens here in the CRISPR-Cas9 engineered complex is we send a guide RNA to cut and add new DNA templates or DNA sequences. So what happens, wherever we want a desired gene to be cut, we send a guide RNA. That guide RNA will cut, and then we can leave it for auto repair, or we can also go for homologous directed repairs using different nucleases. So this is a technique that I'm quite sure all of you know. From exam perspective, CRISPR has been in use for almost a decade now, and CRISPR has seen many novel applications. And one of the researches that has been successful is this, I would say almost successful, because the application is still pending. The US FDA has received an application for approval of a treatment. Please remember, it is not a cure, it is a treatment for sickle cell disease. And US FDA will approve. A committee of independent FDA advisors, they have held that the gene editing or gene edited treatment method which has been applied for approval, it is quite safe. The application has gone from Vertex Pharmaceuticals. Now Vertex Pharmaceuticals works very closely with CRISPR Therapeutics, and both of them together have developed a treatment method called as Exaccel. Now this Exaccel, it has been tested on around 30 patients, and out of 30 patients, 29 patients have shown great improvement in terms of fighting anemia, fighting the disease. So what is this Exaccel? Please remember, I'm repeating again, it is not a complete treatment, because for a complete treatment probably we need another decade or so, even by using CRISPR. It is a genetic disorder. Now we have not gone to that extent where we are completely editing an individual genetically, where a defective gene can completely be removed. So we have not reached to that level still. Research is going on. Now using CRISPR technology, Vertex Pharmaceuticals, what they have done is they have developed a treatment method called as Exaccel treatment. Now in this Exaccel treatment, what doctors do is they remove the blood cells from a patient's bone marrow, and the healthy blood cells are taken and a gene is edited, right? A gene is edited using CRISPR. Here, the modified cells are put back into the patient. They are put back into the patient. Basically, it's like a bone marrow transplantation, where a new kind of blood cell, and not one, billions of these blood cells are now introduced into the bone marrow or introduced into the patient. Now, what happens is these CRISPR edited blood cells, they produce hemoglobin, which is known as fetal hemoglobin. Now this fetal hemoglobin, very similar to how hemoglobin is found in an infant, in a child, in a fetus. So that would restore the normal blood cell functioning. That means the person will have sickle cell disease, but they will no more have that anemia because they will not have any shortage of hemoglobin. The function of, or I would say, whatever performance was being hampered because of the sickle cell RBCs, it is being fulfilled through the fetal hemoglobin, which is produced through the CRISPR edited RBCs. And what the research has suggested is you don't need the blood infusions again and again. What Vertex Pharmaceutical suggests is this might be like a one-time treatment method where exocell, billions of genetically edited hemoglobin cells or RBCs are inserted into the patient, and those patients in the last 18-month study, 29 patients have shown great improvement towards the whatever symptoms are there connected with the sickle cell disease. So it is like a treatment, it is not a cure. Of course, it is a genetic disorder. Cure, we might look at a cure possibly in a decade or 2 decades maybe. Right now, it is a treatment which is based on gene editing. In fact, the research is also going on thalassemia. Now, whenever we talk about sickle cell anemia, we need to discuss about thalassemia as well, because it is a little confusing for aspirants. They sometimes get confused between these two diseases. Please remember, thalassemia is also inherited blood disorder, and this is specifically connected with the hemoglobin itself. It may be alpha hemoglobin or beta globin, alpha globin or beta globin, alpha thalassemia or beta thalassemia, and research is right now going on to resolve issues with this as well. Now, even in thalassemia, the same thing happens, but the blood cells or the hemoglobin, it will not be sickle shaped. Now, this is the normal RBC, normal platelet. In thalassemia, both the platelet and the RBC structure would be changed. They become malformed, because of which hemoglobin performance would not be up to the mark. That means same iron related or hemoglobin related deficiencies can be seen. One of the symptoms is pale colored skin in the patients, and thalassemia is also very prominent in the South Asian side. So research is going on thalassemia as well. In fact, clinical trials are being run as of now, but the approval is not for thalassemia. The approval or application for approval has gone for sickle cell disease. With respect to thalassemia, we might see some developments again in upcoming time. But this opens up a new avenue. CRISPR can become a big savior. Now, we have been discussing about this for quite some time now, right from the time CRISPR technology of genome editing has become, or it has become vogue, that it opens up doors to a lot of research. And exocell is one of the treatment that would get approval very soon. And this actually opens up a lot of possibilities, because research is going on using CRISPR technology to resolve many issues: genetic disorders, muscular dystrophy connected with the Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, cancer, diabetes, AIDS. Even for AIDS, CRISPR based research is going on. Heart diseases, CRISPR can be a life savior going forward. But let's wait and watch what exactly will happen. Will the FDA approve or not? Let us see. But you have a question right now. So you say, sir, is it available in India or will it be available in India? Right now, the answer would be no. Exocell treatment is not available in India as of now, because the research is going on in US. The approval by FDA would come and apply on United States of America. But again, there is a catch here. There's a catch because currently treatment per patient is very, very high. According to the company itself, they suggest that the treatment, the exocell treatment for one particular patient would be somewhere around $2 million, $2 million US dollars per patient. All right. So $2 million would be approximately, I would say, 80 rupees, 16 crore. Huge amount, right? Huge amount for treatment. So treatment, it is also very complex. Lengthy hospitalization is also needed, and bone marrow transplantation is needed. So it might not fit even for all the citizens of USA. It might be okay for some wealthy citizens in USA, but right now I would say it is out of reach of a normal US citizen or less affluent countries like India and the least developed countries. It would not be available very soon. Even an insurance will not get you this much coverage. Okay, $2 million is a very, very huge amount. So possibly we might see a drop in treatment once the FDA approval comes, or through insurance, etc. We might see some development over this. Whenever it comes, we'll have a discussion. But once it is approved by FDA, we might get a possibility of extending the treatment towards India as well. As I told you, in India, there are many cases of sickle cell anemia, sickle cell disease, predominantly in the tribal belts in central India. This treatment, as and when it becomes, I would say, people friendly, cost friendly, then it might be expanded towards India possibly in the next few years. All right. So if any update comes over this, or if any update comes with respect to any new research based on CRISPR, we'll have a discussion again on StudyIQ. But that is it right now in this interaction. Thank you for watching this video. Jai Hind.